Summer League is over, but it's really about the friends we made along the way. Why Summer League was such a success for the Orlando Magic, and what comes next? It's time for Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is July 22nd, 2024. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, why Summer League was such a success for the Orlando Magic. We'll talk about the performances we saw from the Magic's key players and all the friends we made along the way. Plus, what comes next? We'll get to all that coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. To search for Locked On and the team you're looking for, the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. With sports winding down for the summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Summer League is now officially over. The Orlando Magic lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves 115-100 in their final Summer League game. Of course, Jett Howard, Anthony Black, and Tristan Silva sat out for the second straight game for all of them. Tristan Silva, Jett Howard play 3 games. Anthony Black plays 2. So like we did for our previous game, we'll hit the details of what happened in the game itself at the back end of the show. It's obviously, results aren't the most important thing. I'll provide some thoughts on what I thought about the rest of the Summer League performers. But again, not to overlook those players. They worked really hard. They did some interesting things. They showcased themselves. I don't want to diminish what they did. But undoubtedly, the purpose of Summer League this year was to see what the Magic had in 3 key rotation players: and Anthony Black, and Jett Howard, and Tristan Silva. The Magic wanted to see where these young players are at, and ultimately what they can contribute to the main roster. Now, obviously, it's Summer League. They're in roles that don't quite match what they're going to be doing in the regular season. So you're looking at hints for things. But at the end of the day, it's hard not to walk away from this Summer League, and hard not to walk away from this week in Vegas and not say that all 3 of these players did not take meaningful steps forward and do something meaningful for this team that sets them up for training camp for October. We got our eyes on October, of course. It's the start of training camp. It's when the thing starts to count. And the Magic saw something in Anthony Black, Jett Howard, and Tristan Silva that makes them think these players are rotation players. These players will contribute when their number is called upon when the regular season begins. Now, obviously, there's a long way to go. And there's a lot to sort out, and we're going to see what this group looks like. I say this a million times, so, excuse me if you've heard this before from me. Summer League's not about figuring out who can play. It's about figuring out who can't play. And if that's the framework that we want to talk about Summer League, we can certainly leave Summer League saying Black, Howard, De Silva, they can't play. Double negative, I know. They can play. They look like they held their own in Summer League. They look like they were working on things in Summer League. They look like they were succeeding at the things they were working on. All of them could play in Summer League. So no one's, I think, sitting here concerned that they aren't ready for the challenge of competing for a spot in training camp. Anthony Black is perhaps the one who struggled the most. He was just 2 for 7 in the game against New Orleans Pelicans as he dealt with an ankle injury. Really struggled at times to control the pace of the game in that game, but that was the thing he was working on. He said it after the game on Sunday. What he really wanted to show was his ability to control the pace and kind of be the leader of the team. And while there were some ups and downs, I don't think we can deny that. There were some ups and downs. He still made the right play. He still made the right decisions. And when the chips were down, Anthony Black, whether it was the game against the Cavs or the fourth quarter against the Pelicans, controlled the tempo of the game and led the team to victories. Black made plays when he had to. Look, his numbers don't look perfect. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. Anthony Black averaged only 12.5 points per game in 2 appearances. I know everyone wanted to see him score more. They wanted to see him pass the ball more, get more assists. But he definitely controlled the tempo of the game. He definitely looked to be more aggressive, which was his stated goal. And he did look like, while there's still plenty of areas for him to work on, he did look more comfortable on the floor. And coming back to the main roster, when a lot of that pressure, and especially the defensive pressure, is off of him, that's going to make him look even better. Was it a flying passing grade? I think we still have questions about Anthony Black. But he looked fine. We can say the same about the Magic's 2 other key players. Jett Howard, we didn't know what to think about him. Like, honestly. I would tell people, be patient with him. The G League year was part of the plan. He was doing exactly what the Magic wanted him to do. But we still needed to see what that growth looked like. And after one game, after Summer League, that growth looks pretty evident. Now, will that translate to the regular season? Will that translate into a potential role? We know the Magic needed shooting. The shooting was there. It was apparent. He shot, let me pull my stats up here. He shot 10 for 21 on threes, 19 points per game, 10 total assists in 3 games. So 3.3 assists per game. Howard showed us that, yes, he's got the quick 3. That was always there. We always knew that. What he wanted to do was show his awareness to get his shot, where to be on the floor, that he could be a playmaker, that he's more than just a shooter, and that he can defend a little bit. I think it's fair to say, while Howard is not a perfect defender by any means, while there's still growth potential in him, this is a player who looked more confident. This is a player who looked to have a better understanding of what this team is asking him to do. And then performed that and showed that throughout the course of his time in Summer League. I think Howard was about as impressive as anybody the Magic saw. And some of that is about expectations. Like, expectations were, what do we even have in this guy? And so the fact that his shooting looked so good, that he forced a few shots. I don't want to say he was completely free from that, but the fact that he made shots that he can make and can take in the regular season, that it wasn't just him putting up a ton of field goal attempts. 10 for 21, that's, 10 for 21 in 3 games from 3. That is a player that does have the responsibility to shoot a lot, to get those shots up. But still a pretty good percentage. And if he's getting more spot-up opportunities, if he's getting, fewer of the kind of pull-up shots and the self-creation shots, something that, by the way, he said he's still going to work on, he's going to be fine when he gets to the regular season, when he gets to the show. And that is a big deal too. And then, of course, there's rookie Tristan da Silva. Tristan da Silva was just immensely impressive in his Summer League. And everybody kind of felt it. That this is a guy that, is an older player. That does know what he's doing. and showed it on the floor. De Silva averaged 17.7 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game in his 3 appearances. Shot 17 for 28 overall and 10 for 17 from 3. It never felt like he was forcing anything. Those are totals, by the way, in 3 games. It never felt like he was forcing anything. And it never felt like he was taking shots that he isn't going to be asked to take when the regular season begins. This looked like a guy who knew exactly what he was doing. And knows exactly that his game fits wherever he plays. We said this after one of the games in Summer League. De Silva is as advertised, guys. Like this is what we were told we were going to get. This is what we got. And it was very impressive. But now Summer League is over. We take all these stats, we take all these numbers within this context, and now we pack everything up. We're done with Vegas. We're done with Magic basketball for another 2 months now. So what comes next? Well, these players will go off, begin to work on their own, but we turn our attention to Paris and the Olympics because it's time to talk about Franz Wagner. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Look, I love sports, but this time of year especially, this post-summer league time, it is the deadest part of the sports calendar. And with the Olympics coming up, while we do get the Olympics, there's no WNBA. MLS is even taking a break for Leagues Cup. The NWSL is taking a break for their Leagues Cup. Sports just doesn't hit quite the same. But in a couple weeks, it'll be an overdrive. FanDuel lets you keep the sports going whenever you want and gets you ready to have some fun during the busy sports season up ahead. All you have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime you are in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. FanDuel's got some great futures currently on the board for the NBA if you want to bet some Magic. In addition to tomorrow's Summer League Championship game, the Grizzlies favored by 2.5, a team that the Magic face. If you're looking at Eastern Conference futures, there's a big 4 that's developed: the Celtics, Sixers, Knicks, and Bucks. The Magic are in that next group, plus 2,000 to win the Eastern Conference. Looking for them to win the NBA Cup, well, the Magic are going to get you plus 3,000. They think the Magic have a better chance of winning the East than winning the NBA Cup. Regular season win totals are up on FanDuel now. The Orlando Magic coming in at over under 47.5 wins. That's it. Essentially, do you think the Magic will have a better season this year than last? That's what FanDuel's asking you. You can check out so much more. Head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. For your next listen, be sure to check out the Locked On Sports Day 24/7 streaming channel. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories in sports from the local experts who know their team best. That's right. This is sort of a best of the Locked On Podcast Network on all the big stories in sports. Locked On Sports Day brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube and the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So like I said, the Magic, we're going to officially kind of pack the Magic up, put them away, put them on the shelf for about 2 months. The next time we see a Magic jersey on the floor will be the opening of training camp on October 1st. Mark your calendars. October 1st is the start of practice, start of training camp. September 30th is media day. So we got that in the offing. We got that all ready to go. You just got to wait now. Got to wait 2 months. It's hard. I know. I hate this time of year too. But we still have some basketball to get to. So we will get a little taste of basketball here to close the summer. And that is the Olympics. The Magic only have 2 players this year playing in the Olympics, and Franz and Mo Wagner for Team Germany. They are obviously the defending World Cup champions. They're in a tough group, I believe Group A with France. They are one of the medal favorites. The U.S. is obviously heavy gold medal favorites, but Germany's actually being overlooked a little bit. But obviously, a lot of our focus, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow, but I want to just tee it up a little bit. A lot of our focus is going to be on Franz Wagner. No offense to Mo. We'll talk about Mo too. But there is a lot of pressure on Franz Wagner this year. Like, plain and simple, there's a lot of stories and a lot of ink being spilled talking about Franz Wagner. The Magic made the not quite so controversial decision to pay him the max to just take care of him this summer, but it spurred a lot of debate. Is Franz worth it? And obviously some of that debate comes from the fact, and look, I'll sit here and admit it too, like, I was on the fence a little bit about it. I was very much a believer, if the Magic believe he's a max player, if you believe he can reach max status, just do it. Like, yeah, if you either have confidence in the guy or you don't. Obviously, the Magic have confidence in the guy. And a lot of, I think, the national media is because they're really only exposure to Franz as the playoff series. And he had a stinker. Game 7 was historically bad. 1 for 15 shooting. It's sitting in everybody's craw. Like, everybody's upset about it. Franz is a really good player. Most people will acknowledge he's a really good player, but is he that kind of player? Is he that kind of player for this Magic team as they still try to figure themselves out? It's a fair question to ask. But Franz has a lot to prove. And I have fielded a lot of people saying Franz should have sat out the Olympics, focused on his own game, gotten himself healthy, gotten himself mentally prepared for the season, yada, 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 yada. I am never going to tell a guy not to play for his country. Like, I'm never going to do it. In the U.S., we might be jaded about it. We might not have put the same value on these international tournaments as some of these players do, but this stuff is really important to them. And I'm not going to tell a player not to do it. He's going to play. He's going to play meaningful games. He's going to play organized basketball. That will do a ton for his development. Now, having said that, the Olympics are early this year. They end August 10th, I believe, 10th or 11th. He will still have a full 6 weeks before training camp to get himself ready. And look, he's in a gym every day, so he's getting his work in. But obviously, he's working to improve for the team. And obviously, we're all focused on one thing. I hate to say it. Like, I hate to reduce what Franz is to one thing, but the Magic cannot afford for him to shoot sub 30% from 3 again. He's got to get back to 33, 34, 35% from 3. And so obviously we all have our eyes on that. And so the fact that in Germany's first 2 friendlies, he came out shooting 0 for 7 from 3 was mildly concerning. There's some relief on Friday. Friday, Germany defeated Japan. Complete rout. Franz didn't even need to play the fourth quarter. He scored 27 points, was 3 for 5 from 3. He did all the things Franz does. He attacked the basket, finished at the rim, took contact, just all the things that Franz does really, really well. He just dominated the Japanese defense and their interior defense especially. And then when it came time for him to hit threes in the third quarter, he hit some dagger threes. He had a 3 to open the game, hit a step back 3 in transition to cap off, I believe it was a 12-point quarter in the third. He put himself fully on display. Having said that, Japan's probably the worst or second worst team going to the Olympics. They're not favored to do very much in the Olympics. And Franz does have a little bit of a history of performing a lot better against bad teams. Of his 33 20-point games last year, I believe only 13 were against teams that went to the playoffs last year. Of his, I think was 8 or 9 30-point games, only 1 was against a playoff team. And obviously, he had a 30-point game in the playoffs. He had a really strong game 6. I don't think we could judge Franz solely on game 7, to be perfectly honest. He had a bad day. Jalen Suggs had a bad day, too. Franz took a lot of heat off Jalen Suggs that day, too. Not that, it is what it is. And so, we're looking for Franz to prove himself all over again. Hate to be reductive, hate to just lay the gauntlet down. But this is about Franz proving himself against elite competition, against an high-stakes basketball. He's got to prove that last year his shooting was a fluke, and that last year he's ready to step up in big games. We know he is. We saw it in the playoffs. He's capable of playing well in big games. But there's still a lot of work to do. And obviously, Monday is a huge test. Monday, Germany plays Team USA. 3 o'clock tip-off, games on TV. I believe FS1 or Fox. Let me double check. Let me get you the network here. On Fox. Afternoon basketball. And while it is just a friendly, I think we all want to see Franz look like the star that we know he is. We want to see him carry that over to Paris, into the Olympics, and we can move forward from there. That's how it goes. That's the pressure of playing playoff basketball. Let's put a wrap to Summer League. We'll talk about some of the other players and how they performed, plus what happened in Sunday's game. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With more than 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Boners, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. So let's put a wrap to Summer League. We'll do some Summer League lessons later on in the week. So we're not going to be completely done analyzing what we saw in Summer League and kind of what our takeaways were. But obviously, Summer League's not just about our main players. The Magic entered Summer League with an open roster spot as well as 2 two-way spots to fill. Trevelyan Queen's taking the other two-way spot. They ended up filling that roster spot with Corey Joseph. And so that kind of limits how we evaluate or who we're looking at in Summer League, because Jarrett Culver, Teo Maledon aren't eligible for two-way contracts anymore. They played more than 4 years in the NBA. And so it's hard to look at this Summer League roster and say, okay, these are Magic players. A lot of these players were there to support what the Magic wanted to do. Jay Huff is a great example of that. Great screener, great roller, big body to help them out on defense. He's someone that enhanced what the Magic's roster players were doing. But when those roster players left, I think we began to see Jay Huff's flaws. And look, I thought Jay Huff played generally very, very well. I thought that he was energetic. I thought he gave the Magic exactly what they needed from the position, exactly what they needed from him to be successful. I really liked what we saw from him overall. But he fouled a lot. His lack of mobility, he's got a lot stronger, but he was still struggling to handle guys on the interior. Great shot blocker, don't get me wrong. But often could take himself out of position. I kind of come away from the Summer League thinking look, Jay Huff is a solid G League center, but I don't know if he's an NBA center. I think his flaws were just very pronounced. I think that, he's still kind of figuring out how to throw his body around the right way. And again, some of that's the last 2 games, was a struggle. Had a lot of fouls. Not having a strong point guard really hurt him. And that's what Anthony Black was. And look, he enhanced what the Magic drew. He served his purpose. But I don't see him having a future with the Orlando Magic. Maybe he signs a 2-way. Maybe he's on Osceola. He's a high-level G League center. That wouldn't surprise me. But the flaws were very apparent toward the end of Summer League. The same could be said for Jarrett Culver. I came into this Summer League with high expectations for Jarrett Culver. He's a veteran player. His defensive awareness was fully on display when he was the 5th starter playing alongside the Magic's main guys. But when they left and he was asked to do a little bit more, the shooting, which is he so desperately needed to improve to help kind of elevate his career and keep his career going, the shooting just wasn't there. And to me, that was very disappointing. And again, it's just about results. He's got to be able to make shots consistently. So I did not think that Jarrett Culver took advantage of the time in Summer League. Xavier Moon, same kind of deal. Very high score in the G League. Saw him be a little bit more of a game manager. I like things that we saw from Xavier Moon. Would not surprise. The Magic signed another point guard, so I don't know if they'll go with another point guard for their 2-way spot. Moon did some really nice things. Showed a lot more skill as a playmaker than I think he did in previous Summer Leagues, but the scoring wasn't there, and that's kind of what he's known for. Teo Maledon, I think, was not the surprise, but as Summer League got going, as he played more games, Teo Maledon played a lot better. He was late arriving to camp. He's actually leaving Magic Summer League to go straight to Paris to help play for Team France. So he is going to be in the Olympics, I believe. Maledon had 20 points in the loss to the Nets on Thursday. Followed it up with, I believe, 18 against the Wolves. Let me make sure I have my numbers right. Yeah, 18 points, 8 assists against the Wolves. He looked much more like a point guard than Xavier Moon did in those last 2 games. I thought that he played with a lot more confidence as the week went on. He got better as the week went on. And the Magic don't have a roster spot for him anymore, but really impressed with what I saw from Teo Maledon. Great drives to the basket. He's got such good size. Like he's someone that should be still on NBA radars. The other guy I look at is Jared Rhoden. I really loved how much better Jared Rhoden got as this week went on. 3-point shooting is a concern with him. He was just 3 for 12 from 3 entering Sunday's game. He scored 13 points, 5 for 11 shooting, 3 for 7, 5 assists against the Wolves. He's a big dude. He defended really, really well. I really liked what I saw from Jared Rhoden. I was really impressed with Jared Rhoden. And again, he got better as the week went on. If there is a player on the Magic's Summer League roster that I think will get the 2-way spot, I think it's Jared Rhoden. I really liked what I saw from him in this as the week went on, as the week built up. I think that there's something there. There's something there to mine and to see. And look, he had a cup of coffee with the Pistons last year. I think that I think that was a player that stood out to me as the week went on. Unfortunately for the Magic, their Summer League kind of ended with a thud. Much like their previous 3 games. Previous 3 games. I can't add today. The Magic got out to a slow start. They were in a hole early, and they scrambled to get back. The Magic trailed by as much as 19 in the first half. They cut that lead down to 3 near the end of the 3rd quarter, and then Minnesota pulled away. Minnesota was still playing many of their regulars. Rob Dillingham played. Josh Minot played. Leonard Miller played. Guys that are, there are 3 key guys from their roster that were on this Summer League. Magic obviously did not have that. However, every Magic starter except for Jarrett Culver had a positive plus minus. So the Magic's starters did their job. The bench very much did not. Just actually no one off the Magic's bench on Sunday except for Bryson Williams made more than 2 baskets. And that's just hard to win. It's hard to sustain momentum when you're just not getting anything from your bench. And look, the Magic did that to themselves. If Jett Howard, Anthony Black, and Tristan Silva are playing, this is a completely different game. Those are the Magic's three best players. They're the three best players in Summer League, all Summer League long. The Magic played with one hand tied behind their back. Whether that's the right thing to do or not, it's not worth debating, guys. I'm not debating it. I don't care. The Magic have their plan. They have their strategy. They made their decision. So be it. So I'm not sweating the result. Like, it sucks that the Magic lost their last three Summer League games. Absolutely. You want to win. But I'm not sweating it. I'm not losing sleep about it. The Magic saw what they needed to see from their key players. They got some interesting play from, Jay Huff is interesting. Jared Rhoden is interesting. Teo Maledon was interesting. They have something to think about with those players if they want to bring them on Exhibit 10 contracts, if they want to bring to camp, if they want to bring them into two-way spots if they can. There is still something to work with, and I think that's really all you want to see from Summer League. We're not going to linger too long on these guys. I'm sorry. No offense to those guys. They played hard. I thought that they bought into what the Magic and they bought into the Magic's culture. They bought into what this team wants to do. They did their best. They played well. I really liked the job that Lionel Chalmers did as the head coach. It just didn't all come together. It happens. It's Summer League. You got a week to figure this out. But the Magic saw what they wanted to see from their key players. And I think that's the big takeaway from Summer League. We'll do more takeaways from Summer League later this week. Don't worry. We'll talk a little bit more in detail what we learned from the Magic week in Vegas. We'll do that later on this week. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the Filmation podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. Even in the dead part of the season, I'm still posting stuff every day to that site. You want early access to some of my Orlando Magic Daily articles. If you want, just even more coverage, I'll be doing some videos, I think, on there as well. The Patreon page is your place. Again, patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. And as always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done listening to me, be sure to check out the Locked On Sports Day 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube and now available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Day is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Day now available on the free Fire TV channels app. That's going to do it for me today, though, for Locked On Magic. We'll see you tomorrow on Locked On Magic. We'll break down Franz Wagner's performance against Team USA as we get ready for the Olympics. We'll do that and a whole lot more on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Phil Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.